Greetings, my beloved earlenders. Welcome back to Imagination Station. It's your favorite author, Lisa Walker McCrae, with another riveting story time from the pages of my novel, A Peculiar Kind of Love. Remember, you guys, this video is for entertainment purposes only. First and foremost, big praise to the Most High God. And for you guys that are still chiming in, much love and appreciation from this way. So, are you guys ready to dive into those imaginations and turn some pages? Awesome sauce. But before we begin and allow Clarence to set the stage, FYI to all of those who are involved in these story times, I try to post one every Tuesday and Thursday. And for some odd reason, Facebook is not allowing me to tag followers or highlight it. So, if you're one of those that are involved, tune in with me on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will try to get an updated story time to you on those days. We're not going to make any promises because I will check out on you guys to regroup. But every Tuesday and Thursday, I will try my best to have an updated story time on Drew and the crew. So if you're involved, please tune into my page. You can either do it here, or you can do it on TikTok, or maybe even YouTube. The choice is up to you. Anyway, Clarence, let's proceed. Set the stage. Okay, beautiful souls, quick recap from our last trip into our imaginations. Let's start with Jay. Yes, our boy took heed to Dean's words and made it right with Drew. He asked for a truce using donuts to seal the deal. Of course, Drew accepted it. I mean, who wouldn't with donuts on the table? Anyway, after the truce, Drew revealed to Jay that Marcus reached out. He was shocked, and Drew was, of course, hurt. But it was nothing Jay's comfort couldn't fix. Drew was cool by the end of their visit. Now moving forward, let's not forget about Mr. Styles, who had the B&B in an uproar. This guy is rather strange and isolated. To add, he seems to have taken a liking to Drew, just from the sound of her voice. Now that's a bit strange. And let's not forget him eavesdropping on Drew and Jay's conversation. Good looking or not, Drew needed receipts on this man. Now her imagination leads her to believe Mr. Styles may be a critic or someone her potential investor, Mr. Kingston, sent out ahead of his stay to check Serenity Meadows out. But even that wasn't solid. So let's get into it and see how Drew furthers her investigation without making Mr. Styles feel like he's being watched or not wanted. For Drew, hospitality went a long way, and she didn't want to give Serenity Meadows a bad name. Once again, we join Drew at the B&B. She's on a quick mission to her office in search of scissors so Dean could get started on her braids. Successfully for Dean, she'd finally talked Drew into changing her hair. Although Drew found nothing wrong with her shoulder-length layered bob, she was open to a little change. Flipping the light on, Drew walked over to her desk where she proceeded to search the drawers for the scissors. She hummed, wondering where they could be. Her first thought was Gabe. He was always moving her things. What was that? Drew paused her search when hearing a thump, then the floor creaking upstairs. She thought to herself it had to be Mr. Styles because there were no other guests in the B&B. Drew focused her ears on the creaking floor, following the creeping footsteps. What is he doing? It's 2 a.m, she asked herself. Drew listened. A moment passed. What are you doing? What's taking so long? Dean asked, standing in the doorway of the office. Shoot, Dean! Drew grabbed her chest. Dean almost sent her through the window, popping out like that. Drew hurried to put a finger to her lips, signaling for Dean to be quiet so she could continue ear hustling. Dean whispered, "What is it, Drew? What are you doing?" She then took a seat on the chase lounger, becoming concerned. "It's the mystery man from the nature room," Drew whispered. Dean shook her head. Girl, haven't you met that man yet? She asked. Drew told her to hush. She think he's doing laundry. Once again, Dean shook her head. She asked Drew, wasn't she scared housing someone for almost a week that didn't have the common decency to even introduce himself? Dean was now eyeing Drew. There is something weird about that, don't you think? Drew quickly replied that Mr. Pete was there and she had nothing to worry about. Dean eyed Drew. Pete, old girl. Drew told her to shh and listen. Mr. Styles was on the move. Jumping up from her desk, Drew followed the footsteps outside her office. Dean watched suspiciously. She didn't see how Drew could be so calm. Drew! Dean called her name quietly, trying to get her to come back into the office. Of course, Drew ignored Dean's call and continued her mission. I mean, she wouldn't be Drew if she hadn't, right? Noticing Drew wasn't gonna comply, Dean jumped up from the chase to accompany her. She noticed a bat behind the check-in counter and grabbed it. If he comes down here, it's on and popping, Dean voiced, holding the bat up ready to swing. Baby, Dean didn't come to play, did she? Drew looked up at the bat. Give me that, she commanded, snatching the bat from Dean's hand. In the process, Drew knocked over a candy dish that sat on the counter. It shattered. With covered mouths and beating hearts, they both paused a moment. Looking at the candy dish, Drew spoke. She quietly scolded Dean, advising her to calm down, and there was no need for a bat. Dean eyed Drew with a lifted brow, as to say, you're the one who needs to calm down. The pair silently argued back and forth until Dean put a finger to her lips, motioning Drew to hush and listen. Dean then pointed at the stairs. It's him, she stated without words. These two here, my goodness. Anywho, Mr. Styles was now standing at the top of the stairs. The sound of the shattered candy dish had him curious about what was going on downstairs. He walked to the edge of the stairs and called out, "Hello? Who's there?" Mr. Styles jumped after seeing a shadow peering down the dark stairs. "Hello? Who's there?" he called out again, becoming concerned. Knowing Drew lived on the property alone, Mr. Styles headed downstairs to investigate, thinking she may need some help. Reaching the bottom of the stairs, he noticed a shattered candy dish. Mr. Styles continued his investigation, heading down the hallway to Drew's room. By this time, Dean and Drew were hiding in the exercise room in a panic. They could hear Mr. Styles' footsteps echoing off the hardwood floors with each step he took down the hallway. "See, I told you," Dean whispered. "Why is he coming to your room? Oh Lord, he's gonna kill us. He's gonna kill us." Ooh. Dean frighteningly whimpered, covering her mouth, trembling with fear. "Hush, Dean, before he hears us," Drew nudged her. Dean eyed Drew, forgetting about her fear. Mr. Styles was now standing at Drew's bedroom door. He wanted to knock, but at the same time, he didn't want to look like an idiot that came to tell her a freaking candy dish had fallen. "Why is he just standing there?" Dean asked, watching his shadow in the dark, contemplating. Mr. Styles questioned himself. What if she knows already? What if it was her who knocked the candy dish over and she's getting something to clean it up? What if Mr. Styles paused his questions, then knocked at the door? "Hello? Mrs. McCain, are you okay?" he asked. Mr. Styles would much rather look like an idiot than something be wrong with Drew. Dean stuck her head out from behind the gym she and Drew used for cover. "What are you doing?" Drew asked. Dean told her to hush. She was trying to get a good look at his face. Dean tried her best to make out Mr. Styles' face. She leaned towards the door, hoping the moonlight from the window would unmask the mystery man. But it was just too dark, and he stayed in the shadows. Mr. Styles knocked at the door once more, but didn't get a response. He figured Drew was asleep and didn't hear anything, so he made his way back upstairs. The women gave Mr. Styles a moment to fade the stairs before coming out of hiding. They were rolling, laughing at the ridiculous shenanigans they just endured. Oh my gosh, Drew, he almost caught us spying on him, Dean stated with more laughter and relief. Pausing her laughter, Drew asked, "Didn't he sound familiar to you?" Reflecting on Mr. Styles' voice, Dean was like, "No, not really." The women eyed each other and once again burst into laughter. They then made their way to Drew's bedroom, still pumped from almost getting caught. Drew shut the door. Dean plopped down on the bed. She asked Drew what she would have done if Mr. Styles caught them. Drew shrugged her shoulders. "I don't know. I thought about that when we were in hiding." Drew added that she was glad he didn't because there was no way she could have explained. Grabbing the braid hair and a bag of Oreos from the dresser, Drew joined Dean on the bed. She thanked her for staying the night and doing her hair. "No problem," Dean uttered, adding it felt like a slumber party. She then took an Oreo from the bag and threw it into her mouth, at the same time shedding light on the fact Drew ate a lot of Oreos. Drew chuckled, enlightening Dean there was a funny story behind her obsession over Oreos. "I never had Oreos until I met Chantel, and she tricked me into trying them with ramen noodles." Dean cringed her face. Drew continued, informing Dean Chantel assured it was the best snack ever, when in fact it was the worst snack ever. "Girl, I ain't never ate noodles again, but I love me some Oreos." Dean envied the tale, wishing one day her and Drew would be as close as she and Chantel used to be. "Chantel seemed to have been the light of everyone's life around here," Dean blurted out. Drew was thrown off by Dean's comment that came with a hint of jealousy. She asked Dean, why did she say that? What did she mean? Dean searched for a quick cover lie for the insensitive remark, but the truth instead escaped her lips. She told Drew her and Jay spoke so highly of Chantel, that she was perfect in their sight, a perfect wife, a perfect mother, a perfect friend. Drew peeped out the little green man sitting on Dean's shoulder. She also reflected back to a conversation her and Jay had concerning Dean's insecurities when it came to Chantel. Drew spoke. "Dean, I must correct. Chantel never got a chance to enjoy motherhood. And she wasn't perfect. None of us are. Of course, she was unique in her own way, and she meant a lot to this family. But Chantel is gone now, and all we have are memories that we try to keep alive for Gabe's sake." Conviction and embarrassment graced Dean's face and heart. She felt stupid being jealous of a dead woman. Dean apologized to Drew for being envious of Chantel. Drew eyed Dean with compassion. "Don't be so hard on yourself, Dean. Comparison comes naturally in situations like this." Dean took a deep breath, then exhaled. Her heart beat outside her chest. There was something she needed to say. She asked Drew if she could tell her something. "Of course you can," Drew welcomed. "You can tell me anything." Drew waited for Dean to say what she needed to say when suddenly they heard a thump and Mr. Pete swinging from the hallway. The ladies rushed to see what the ruckus was. Drew flipped on the light, finding Mr. Pete on the floor. He'd slipped on the candy and shattered candy dish. "Who made this damn mess and didn't get it up?" Pete growled. Dean and Drew eyed each other. Both women laughed so hard on the inside, if they would have opened their mouths, Shiloh City would have been able to hear them. "Hon, see, it's more than enough going on at this B&B. Book a room. Or better yet, meet me back here at Imagination Station for the next story time. Things are about to get very interesting." As if they're not interesting enough, right? Anyway, join me back here to be entertained. Until then, put this in your mental. Everyone on earth is born to die. Enjoy life to the fullest while you can. And you ask me, how do you do that? It's simple. Mind your own freaking business. Y'all bless this reading and yourselves. Smooches.